Hello, welcome everyone. It's good to have you with us, whether you are joining us from Africa, Europe, the US, or anywhere else in the world. My name is Natasha Mulenga Hornsby, and I'm the Director of Content at Educate. Today, we have a really interesting discussion for you on how we can translate national policy reform into change in the classroom. And specifically, we're going to be talking about data systems and how we can use them not just to measure learning, but actually to improve it. So a little bit of information about Educate. Our purpose is to prepare youth in Africa with the skills to succeed in today's economy. And we design education and employment solutions that can prepare young people to build livelihoods. We work primarily with governments. Across East Africa, where we work, many governments in the region have embarked on competency-based curriculum reform, or CBC. What they're aiming to do is prepare young people with the competencies that they need to face the world of work today. So for the last decade, one of these countries has been working on this is Rwanda, and we've been supporting the Rwandan government on this work. Just to give you a bit of context, about half of young people in Rwanda are under 19. And by 2035, the country will need 2.6 million jobs to accommodate them. So the government really has a big task on their hands preparing this growing population for the world of work. And we have 3 colleagues from the Rwanda team who've been supporting them with this work. So they're really the experts on this. And I'm delighted to ask them now to introduce themselves. So Melissa, maybe we could start with you.
Thank you, Natasha. My name is Mahoro Melissa Dus. I'm a project manager at Educate. I'm working on a project that aims to analyze and promote the use of student assessment data across the education system. Thank you.
And maybe we could come to you next, Joseph.
All right, thanks, Natasha. This is Joseph Nshimimana. I'm the senior manager for national programs, and my role is more on advocacy and partnerships. Thanks.
And Angelique, are you there? Could you also introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Natasha. Hello, everyone. My name is Wase Angel Vaidehi. I'm currently serving as Kami Support Officer at Educate Rwanda. I work directly with teachers and school to help them use Kami's effectively. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think at this point, it's a good moment for us to spell out what CAMIS is. It's Comprehensive Assessment Management Information System. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So it's important for our audience that they understand what CAMIS stands for. So I want to start with a story from the classroom. On one of my visits to Rwanda, I met a young teacher named Euphrosyne. She teaches in a secondary school just outside Kigali. Her subject is entrepreneurship, which interestingly in Rwanda is a compulsory subject in the last 3 years of secondary school. And she was telling me that the introduction of competency-based curriculum reform, CBC, and continuous assessment has really transformed her teaching. So she said that before we used to teach in a theoretical way. I would, for example, ask the class, can you define entrepreneurship? Now what I'm doing is trying to get the children to engage in problem solving, to engage in critical thinking. So I'll set them a scenario. So for example, Jean-Paul wants to start a baked goods business. What kind of financing does he need? What kind of challenges is he likely to face? So instead of making the children memorize and repeat what I've told them, I'm getting them to engage with problems that they're likely to face in the real world. And I personally can say that I really saw what a transformation this had for the young people. While I was there, they put on a business fair. They showed me some of the products that they had created in their own small business. They were pitching products, whether it was something like knitwear or soap. And you could see that they were genuinely fired up about learning and excited about applying what they'd learned outside the classroom. So this is what happens when teaching that's going on in the classroom aligns with what's intended at the national level. And in Rwanda, we've been working alongside the government to help embed these changes as technical advisors. And we work in 3 stages. So the first stage is advising on policy. The second stage is supporting teacher training. And the third stage is around sustainability. And in many ways, sustainability is the one that has the biggest challenge, because you're really trying to work out how can we get these reforms to stick. And many other education systems have faced this. You can design the most dynamic, student-centered pedagogy, but if teachers don't believe it's going to help them, to help and support their students to ace their exams, then they may fall back into rote learning and the old methods. So to address this, together with the government and other partners, we developed CAMIS. It's a system that supports teachers and schools to collect assessment data, for example, on classwork, tests, and projects. And in the future, these project scores will actually go towards the young people's national exam scores. So it's quite an exciting development. If I can come first to you, Joseph, and ask you, it's been 10 years since Rwanda introduced this CBC reform. What was the government aiming to do, and why was assessment a sticking point in that process?
All right. Thanks so much, Natasha, for a great question. As you've tackled on that, Rwanda introduced the competence-based curriculum since 2015, and the main purpose was to help students to develop what we call 21st century skills. I would say like critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, communication, and all that. Like CBC was aiming to ensuring that we move from theory to skills. I would compare this like coming from analog to digital, right? So yeah, when the curriculum changed from now knowledge-based to competence-based, national assessments didn't really reflect these changes. So you could find schools and teachers doing assessment in a theory based, and you could find that teaching was aiming to preparing students to pass the exam instead of preparing students to acquire skills so that they can survive, as Natasha, you mentioned that. So on top of that as well, also students' assessment were fragmented, and the data on assessments were collected manually. And so schools were mostly using Excel sheets and paperwork to report to both district and national level. So you could see that there was a need to change from theory-based to change from analog to digital, as I highlighted above. So all those changes were really intended to ensure that we reach at a competence-based teaching and learning. Thanks.
So how did CAMIS address the problem of people using papers scattered here and there for assessment?
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's perfect, actually. Yeah, therefore, CAMIS come in as a solution to ensuring that there is a standardized data collection on assessment, and ensuring that the reporting is really uniform across all education levels. In brief words, I would say that CAMIS has come in to ensuring that there is improved data management. And when I talk about data management, you could understand that it's data related to students' assessment. And then once there is an improved data management, and then this really contributes to to the reform that can happen. Like improved data management could inform the curriculum reform. So really, CAMIS came in to ensure that there is a standard way of collecting data and reporting them. But again, CAMIS is now a national requirement because it's part of the comprehensive assessment requirement. And over time, as data use expands, CAMIS will support teachers to better track students' progress and adjust teaching strategies accordingly. Thanks.
Okay, so we needed a way to really orient teachers towards the new methods of teaching. And one way to do that is through projects. Melissa, can you tell me a little bit about what project-based assessment involves?
Yes, thank you, Natasha. So, project based assessments are practical tasks where students apply what they learned. So, instead of cramming and just answering questions on a paper, they might write a business plan, carry out a science experiment, or create a product, as you have highlighted when you mentioned about the soaps. So we have had students make exciting products like irrigation machines or walking canes for the visually impaired and many more. So CAMIS makes project-based assessments easier by distributing standardized projects and guidelines directly to schools, even in schools located in remote areas. Previously, the distribution of assessments required schools to travel to Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, to pick up exam papers on a flash disks.
Okay, so now teachers have a lot of help to assign and assess projects. How are the project scores connected to the national exam score?
So currently, projects are being implemented in science subjects and entrepreneurship at advanced secondary level. And their marks appear on the student report cards, contributing 25% to the end of term grade. This has helped shift teachers' mindsets. They say that these practical assessments are taken seriously. The plan is that starting from next year, 2026, these grades will be aggregated over 3 years and will contribute 10% to the national end of cycle exam score. The CBC, or the competence-based curriculum, as you have highlighted, guidelines indicate that this share will progressively increase to 30%, ultimately reducing the impact high-stake exams have on student academic journey. Thank you.
So 25% of end of term marks are related to projects, and over time that relates to the national exam score. By the national exam score, we mean the high stakes exams, the ones that you typically do at the end of a key transition stage. So lower secondary, upper secondary, and they stay on your record forever. So you can see that Rwanda's really taking projects seriously, and it's embedded into the assessment system. Vava, if we can turn to you, can you tell us how CAMIS works in practice? Walk us through what it can do.
Thank you, Natasha. I'm happy to explain how CAMIS works in real school settings. So CAMIS is a digital platform that allows teachers to upload scores in different ways, whether through internet, Excel, or even simple phones using USSD. And this kind of flexibility helps teachers or schools in a remote area where the internet isn't always available. But also, I would say that it's more than just data entry, because CAMIS also includes tools to support teaching, like a national question bank and sample projects in line with the curriculum. So on the school side, head teachers use it to access centrally prepared end-of-year exams. As Melissa mentioned, they used to come in Kigali for them to pick the exams, but now with CAMIS, it's a lot more easier and it saves them a lot of time. So the system also generates report cards in standardized digital format, replacing the handwritten ones, and it reduces teachers' workload. Yeah. So overall, I would say that CAMIS is helping build a consistent national data set. which means better decisions at the national level when it comes to education policy and resource planning. Thank you.
I think national data systems like CAMIS are able to play a very critical role in closing the gap between what's happening in the classroom and decisions that are made at the different levels of the education ecosystem, from school to sector to district up to the national level. First, the collection of real-time quality assessment data across the country is a huge success for the education system monitoring purposes. Second, it will make it possible to identify learning gaps early. If teachers input scores regularly, not just at the end of the term, the system will be able to help schools and the school leaders, as well as all these levels that I have mentioned above, flag students who may be in need of extra support or remediation and help them plan targeted interventions. Moreover, the aim is to enable real time monitoring of learning outcomes. This means curriculum designers and teacher trainers can be more responsive and adjust strategies based on actual classroom data. It also lay the ground, as you have mentioned, Natasha, for evidence-based policy making at the national level and all the stakeholders that are involved in this sector. Eventually, CAMIS will support more equitable and inclusive distribution of resources by helping identify schools that are or regions that are in lack or need additional support. Thank you.
Okay, so Vava, you have been involved very much in the rollout of CAMIS. What would you say were the challenges and opportunities that you saw?
So it's something that evolves a lot over time, especially that we reached more remote districts. So I would say that in the beginning, one of the biggest challenges was infrastructure, where many schools in rural areas didn't have reliable internet, devices, or even airtime. So that's why we designed CAMIS to function both online and offline. Another big challenge was digital literacy. While a few teachers were comfortable with technology, the majority were hesitant and unsure. So we created a training that met teachers at their levels to help them, and we built a hands-on or a practicals method of training, and we also did a peer-to-peer training approach. And this was done in a way that it felt more supportive, not intimidating to them. And again, at first, some educators didn't fully engage with the system. They saw CAMIS as extra work or a burden to them rather than being a supportive tool in teaching and learning. So, but over time, hands-on training, support, and clearer link between the system and their day-to-day work, it helped them shift perceptions. So, while CAMIS had made national alignment possible, we also learned how to improve accessibility and deepen teachers' ownership and tailor the training for long-term sustainability just for them. Yeah, thank you.
So many different things have gone into creating and developing the system, and there were so many things that we had to think about, and we didn't do it alone. Joseph, I would love you to tell us who some of the partners were involved in this briefly. I know that it's a long list and quite some acronyms, but if you could just give us a little background.
Right. Thanks, Natasha. Allow me to say that CAMIS was launched in 2022 by the National Examination School Inspection Authority, known as NESA. And so the aim was to ensure that there is an improved data management, as I mentioned earlier. And so when improved data management is there, then it would inform curriculum reform, right? So CAMIS itself was built on a foundational work of the Rwanda Basic Education Board, which is known as REB, together with BLF, Building Learning Foundation, and again FCDO, this is Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. These are the partners who initiated CAMIS in 2018. So the initiation of the project as CAMIS was happening in 2018, while the launch was made by 2022. So the development of CAMIS from its childhood to where it is now has been like a national-wide result of a collaborative effort by the Ministry of Education itself, NESA, REB, alongside with education development partners like Educate, like BLF, as I mentioned, Innovation for Poverty Action, IPA, the World Bank, and Tunoze Kusoma, USID. I think these are partners who really put their efforts together to ensuring that CAMIS can really provide the support needed to ensure that we take on the reform appropriately. Thanks.
So that's a lot of partners. What do you have to think about in this process, in a collaborative process with a lot of partners? What are the key aspects?
Right. That's amazing. I remember CAMIS was led by NESA and fully aligned with Rwanda national priorities, especially the shift to competence-based curriculum. So we were able to leverage existing policies which helped with adoption and scale. As when we talk about partnering, I understand that for times when we have more partners, there is a need to have clear role definition so that each partner is really understanding their responsibilities, alignment with national priorities, as I tackled. All partners should align to the CBC requirements. And so there was the idea of data ownership and security, because this CAMIS is a digital thing, and so there was a need to ensure that there is ownership of data and security of it. So each partner really contributed specific expertise, from technical design and data collection to training and policy alignment. So capacity building is now focused on ensuring that full government ownership and the regular feedback loops continue to shape the system.
So that issue of ownership is key, and one of the main things that drives that forward is training, so that people understand the system, can engage with it easily. Vava, can you walk us through what a CAMIS training system looks like, the training sessions that you put on?
That's a really important question, Natasha, especially in our context. To answer this question well, allow me to take reference to how it was during CAMIS rollout. So as I mentioned above, we knew that the training couldn't be just theoretical. It had to be practical, hands-on, and to meet teacher where they were. So we designed a peer-to-peer training model, as I mentioned above. The training moved from the national level to district level and sector level, and finally we reached to school level. And our aim was to ensure that training was both engaging and scalable. Yeah, so we also started by prioritizing schools with stronger infrastructure so that they could serve as peer support hub for others. Yeah. So one thing that we quickly learned after this was that digital literacy really varies. So some teachers were confident, while others were using digital system like CAMIS for the very first time. And that's why we started small, piloting in few districts and few schools. And it gave us a chance to see really what worked and make adjustments before scaling up nationwide. Allow me to come back to how it is working now. Coming back to how it is done now that school and educators are now familiar with the system, we shifted from doing most trainings in person. So we are mainly using videos to train and support teachers. Yeah, thank you.
So every time you roll out a new feature, you would have a short video that would inform teachers on what this new feature is about.
Yeah, sure. We use videos to train them, and these videos are the short videos that we do that are clear and practical, that usually show step-by-step instructions on how to use the new feature. And this helps teacher understand quickly and without needing an in-person training every time there is an update. And we found that these videos are especially helpful to teachers with low digital literacy because they can pause, they can replay, they can also practice alongside the video. So we often share them through WhatsApp groups because we have WhatsApp groups with them. We also upload them directly on Camis sometimes, which makes it more easier for them. Yeah.
Thanks, Baba. So, Melissa, if we come to you, you've been leading research on how data systems like CAMIS drive policy. Can you share a bit more about that project?
Yes, Natasha. So I'm working on a research project that is supported by the Global Partnership for Education, Knowledge and Innovation Exchange, abbreviated GPE KICS, which is a joint endeavor with the Canadian International Development Research Centre, abbreviated IDRC. So the project aims to understand how assessment data is currently being used by decision makers in Rwanda, particularly at the national and district levels. We are looking at how classroom-based summative assessment, the kind of data that teachers are inputting into CAMES, can be better integrated into the policy processes or the policy cycle and improve learning outcomes. Our focus currently is the middle tier of the system, so meaning the district leaders, inspectors at district level, and education officers. These are the people who can help schools make adjustments in real time, but they often lack access to meaningful data. So we are developing customized dashboards to help visualize CAMIS data in a way that is actionable and that is easy for them to analyze and digest the data. The idea is to support timely evidence-based decision at every level. Thank you.
So, can you tell us what are the biggest challenges when translating the data into actionable steps? And what's worked in Rwanda to close that gap?
Thank you. I think that's a good question that so many countries are trying to understand how to solve. And for us in Rwanda as well, that's something that we think about very often. One of the biggest challenges is making sure the right people have access to the right data and at the right time. In a format, as I was saying, that they can actually use. Because what's best for data if you can't really read it and understand what it's trying to communicate to you? So even in the past, data was collected, yes, but it was either incomplete or stayed at the school level. CAMIS has helped close that gap by standardizing how data is captured and how, through the dashboards, we are working to make it more actionable for decision makers. What's worked in Rwanda, a country that is famous for its rapid growth, is strong government ownership from the start and the building the system around the real user needs, not just at the national level, but also for the districts and inspectors. However, we agree that there is still so much work to do, especially around the completeness of the data and building confidence in how the data is used. But we are starting to see more examples of data-driven, targeted support and smarter resource allocation.
Okay, so smarter resource allocation and data-driven decision-making is the holy grail of what everybody is trying to do in education. And I think the first step has to be national coverage. Joseph, can you give us an idea of the scale of CAMIS adoption?
All right. That's perfect, Natasha. CAMIS is now being used across all the 30 districts of Rwanda, and we continue to see strong national uptake. In terms of data, I would say that this system is really active in approximately 6,000 schools, and these are covering majority of primary and secondary institutions nationwide, as I said. So the system is also expanding to some teacher training colleges and technical vocational schools, demonstrating CAMIS growing reach from lower primary through to tertiary education. So around 85% of teachers countrywide are now registered in the system, and more than 660 million student scores have been entered. So this is really a great milestone that we are celebrating now. Thanks.
Okay, so 6,000 schools and 85% of teachers is really a wonderful progress. I think part of that has been feedback from users. That's really what's made people take the system as their own. Melissa, can you tell us a bit more about how feedback from users has shaped the system?
Sure, Natasha. As you were just talking about, one of the most important aspects of CAMIS has been listening to the people who use it, especially the teachers as the main users. CAMIS was built in collaboration with teachers to ensure it met their needs. This was done through different pilot rounds that we implemented with teachers. Moreover, when we heard that teachers were spending so much time writing report cards manually, we built a feature to generate them digitally. This cut down their workload and strengthened teacher buy-in. We also had about exam paper distribution feature that was important to the government, and we developed it. Now, head teachers can now access exam papers directly through the platform. And as I was saying, we are working on the next step, which is co-designing the dashboards with NESHSA, the National Examination and School Inspection Authority, and district leaders who are helping define exactly what data they need to monitor reports and use to guide decisions. So therefore, CAMIS isn't just a tool to collect data, as you highlighted, Natasha. It will provide insights that strengthen teaching, learning, and planning across the sectors. Thank you.
And Vava, you have some examples of how this is already happening within schools and with teachers and how they're connecting with families and students to give them feedback.
Yes, thank you, Natasha. We are now seeing the changes and impact of CAMIS in schools. Yeah, for sure, because teachers are becoming more consistent in how they're recording assessments, which is more exciting. And we are seeing the shift from scattered notebooks, papers, and offline files. We are seeing how they are now getting used to the system and they're excited about it. So by entering score regularly, teachers are more aware of how students are performing, and because CAMIS generates report card, as Melissa mentioned, many schools are using those to provide structured feedback to students and parents at the same time. This also helps schools to move towards more data-driven decision making because they are all using this system. So, like I've seen, this is an example where head teachers use CAMIS data as a starting point for conversation with staff or teachers about which student needs support or whether the class is on track or not. Yeah, so I would say that it's still early, but we are not yet at the point where most schools are tracking progress over time or maybe comparing performance across subjects. But again, I would say that CAMIS is establishing a strong foundation of data-driven information teaching culture, and that's an important step forward. Yeah, thank you.
So a data-driven teaching culture is already here in Rwanda. You heard it here. We're just coming to the end of our seminar, so I'd like to ask the panelists for their closing thoughts. Joseph, what's your biggest lesson, you think, from supporting this process in Rwanda? And do you think other countries can also learn some lessons from this?
Perfect. Thanks, Natasha. I'm thinking about two things. I think one is the power of having consistent data. Number two is the power of having timely data. These are really big lessons that I observe when thinking about CAMIS and working with it. So the power of having consistent and timely data across all subjects and levels is really a great milestone I would celebrate with. So this kind of visibility isn't just useful in Rwanda, our country only. It has real potential to inform reforms in other countries that are looking to track and improve learning through summative assessments. So with this potential, CAMIS can surely influence other systems aiming at collecting students' assessment data on a regular basis across other countries. Thanks.
And Melissa, what are your closing thoughts on how CAMIS will be developing in the future?
Thank you. To build on what Joseph was saying about the access to consistent and timely data, I think as in this growing AI age, we are also thinking about that. CAMIS is also now the dashboards are going to be powered with an AI copilot, which will make it easier for users, even the non-technical staff, that most of our governments don't have the technical staff that are capable of analyzing the data. But with these AI powered dashboards, they will be able to help them scan metrics quickly and generate actionable insights, which will make it easy for every user that will interact with the data to be able really to gather the information they need and to act on it. So it's an exciting project, and we look forward to having more countries learn from what Rwanda is doing. Thank you.
So AI is part of how CAMIS is being developed. And from your perspective, Vava, in terms of training and supporting schools, what's your big lesson that you want people to take away?
Thank you so much. I would say that this system is most exciting, just like Melissa said. And what's most exciting about it is that we just started small, just a few schools, and today CAMIS is being used across the entire country, which is more exciting. And so, to me, it's more than just a system. It's a shift in how we support teachers, how we track learning, and build an education system that works for every child. Yeah, so I bet the team is so proud to be part of this transformation, because I am so excited to be part of this transformation. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you all. I want to end with another teacher, or one of the teachers that we work with, Euphrazine, and say that she actually told me that her students call her over Christmas. They had started their small businesses. They were selling chapatis and arts and crafts that they had made as gifts. And this was very good because it was Christmas. Everybody was in the mood to buy. So this is what we call product market fit. So it's really changing how things are happening in the classroom in Rwanda. Students are so excited they're even calling their teachers when they're out of class to talk to them about learning. And that's a vision that we hope for everyone who is in school. And if there's one message that we want to share from Educate, is that policy change alone isn't enough. Reform only becomes real when it reaches the classroom. And CAMIS is an example of a data system that was designed with and by educators. And that's one of the reasons that it is working well. And it shows what's possible when governments and teachers and other partners come together to design for impact. We're excited about what's happening in classrooms in Rwanda. We hope it can inform what's going on in other countries as well. And thank you so much to our audience for being with us. That's all from us. Bye.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.